Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something pretty specific, pretty complex. We're digging into what it actually takes to launch an adult webcam site in, well, the current landscape, say 2025.
Right. It's a topic that sparks a lot of curiosity, but the nuts and bolts, often a bit of a mystery.
Exactly. And the sources we're drawing on today are basically step-by-step guides for doing just that. So our mission here is to pull out the key business strategies, the tech options, and maybe most importantly, the big legal and financial hurdles you'd face.
Yeah, giving you that kind of strategic overview, a shortcut to understanding this, well, this niche but growing online world.
And one thing that really jumps out from the get-go is how surprisingly resilient this market seems to be. The analyses suggest it doesn't really fluctuate with the wider economy like, say, retail or travel might.
That's a key point. It seems pretty resistant to economic downturns. And interestingly, live services like webcams have this built-in advantage over, traditional downloadable adult videos.
You mean piracy?
Exactly. You can't really pirate a live stream effectively. That inherent resistance gives the live cam sector a stability that VOD sites often struggle with. It's growing, definitely, but getting in isn't just about having cash, it's about knowing the playbook.
Okay, so let's start with that playbook. What are the main ways someone could even enter this market?
Yeah.
The sources lay out 3 core business models,
Right.
each with its own kind of risk-reward balance.
That's right. Path 1 is the most straightforward, being a solo performer, a cam girl or cam boy.
Simplest setup, I imagine.
By far, least financial risk, least regulatory headache because you are the business. But the big limitation, your income is tied directly to the hours you stream. And critically, there's no sellable asset at the end. You build an income, not a business you can sell.
Right, it's like being a highly paid freelancer versus building a company. Okay, so path 2.
Path 2 steps it up. The webcam model studio, this is where you're managing a small group of performers, taking a cut of their revenue, a rev share.
So higher earning potential? Potentially.
Potentially, yeah. But the margins can be surprisingly thin. If you run a physical studio, actual rooms, lights, cameras, paying rent, and utilities, that costs a lot up front. But you can justify taking a bigger percentage from the models.
Makes sense. You're providing tangible resources.
Exactly. But the virtual studios, the ones just managing models remotely, they often struggle. It's hard to justify even a small cut when all you're offering is maybe some scheduling help or payout processing.
What else do they need to offer them?
Well, they have to provide real value. Things like customized payout schedules, serious coaching, maybe round-the-clock tech support. But even then, established successful models often prefer to handle all that themselves. They don't really need the studio middleman.
Okay, so solo is limited. Studios are tricky with margins. That leads us to the third path.
Path 3, the full site owner-operator. This is where you build and run the entire platform yourself.
The big leagues, basically.
Yeah. Here, the earning potential is theoretically unlimited because you're pooling revenue from potentially hundreds, even thousands of performers. That smooths out the income dips you'd see with just a few models. Once you cover your, frankly, massive operational costs, the profit potential is highest. And our sources say this is the fastest growing segment right now, people trying to launch the next big platform.
Okay, so if owning the whole site is the goal, then the conversation immediately shifts from the business model to, well, how do you actually build the thing, the tech side?
Right. And there's a spectrum here, too. Basically, you're trading off speed and ease against control and customization.
Let's start with the fastest way in. That's the white label site, correct?
Correct. And the appeal is obvious. It's incredibly cheap and fast to get started. We're talking maybe under $100 for a domain name, and you can be approved and technically live in just a few business days.
Wow, that's quick. And what's the big operational advantage?
The biggest is risk offloading. That's huge. The main company, the one providing the white label platform, handles almost all the really difficult stuff.
Like what?
Like recruiting the models, managing their payouts, and, crucially, dealing with the payment processing, which is a minefield in this industry. As the white label owner, your only job is marketing. Just bring in the paying customers.
Okay, sounds almost too good to be true. What's the catch? Because there has to be one.
Oh, there's a massive catch. And anyone listening needs to understand this clearly. White labels are basically invisible to search engines. It's what we call the SEO black hole.
Why is that?
Because they're all pulling from the same pool of models and using the same basic website templates. Google and other search engines see this as duplicate content, sometimes severely penalized duplicate content. They often just filter these sites out of search results entirely or rank them so low nobody ever finds them.
So forget about organic traffic then.
Pretty much, yeah. You're stuck with a fixed rev share percentage. You have almost zero control over how the site looks or functions, who performs on it, or what the pricing is. You're basically just a glorified affiliate, totally reliant on paid ads.
Doesn't sound like a sustainable long-term business.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the opposite end of the spectrum?
The complete opposite is building from scratch. Total control, unique design, you dictate everything, but
Big but.
huge but.
Yeah.
You need serious, specialized programming expertise. It takes a massive amount of time and money. And you need ongoing in-house tech support forever to maintain and update the code. It's a huge undertaking.
Okay, so white label is fast but flawed. Scratch is powerful but incredibly resource intensive. Is there middle ground?
There is, and it's often the most practical route for serious new operators, using turnkey scripts. The source material mentions examples like ModelNet.
How does this work?
Think of it like getting a highly specialized website builder kit. It's more involved than a white label. You'll probably need some basic HTML or CSS skills to customize it, but way less complex than building from absolute zero.
And the key advantages?
You get full control over the look and feel. You can choose from templates or heavily modify them. And most importantly, you recruit your own performers and set your own pricing structures. You completely avoid the white label SEO penalty and lack of control. Plus, they often come with tech support packages.
Right, so you get the control without needing a massive in-house dev team from day one. That makes sense.
And the moment you go down that turnkey path, the moment you start bringing on your own talent, you pivot. You're not just managing tech, you're suddenly dealing with contracts, compliance, payments.
Which brings us squarely into the legal and financial complexities. This seems like where things get really serious.
Absolutely. The guides are emphatic about this. Trying to run this kind of business as just, yourself, a sole proprietor, that's a fundamental error. Huge mistake.
Why specifically?
Liability. You need that legal separation between your personal assets and the business. Setting up an LLC or a corporation is basically non-negotiable. It's your first shield. Plus, using the business entity's details for everything helps protect your personal identity from potential harassment, which unfortunately can be a real issue from anti-porn groups.
Okay, so legal structure first. Then what about the content itself and the performers?
This is critical. Your agreements with models need to be absolutely watertight. Who owns the content generated on your platform? How can it be used for advertising on affiliate sites, etc.? It has to be spelled out explicitly.
And there are specific U.S. laws too, right? Something about record keeping.
Yes, USC 2257. This is a federal requirement in the United States. You absolutely must maintain detailed records for every single performer appearing on your site.
What kind of records?
Proof of age and identity. Copies of government-issued photo ID, signed declarations. Basically, time the content was created. Compliance isn't optional. They audit this stuff rigorously. Failure is not an option.
Wow. Okay, that sounds demanding. And this level of complexity, I assume, feeds directly into the financial side. You mentioned payment processing being a minefield.
It really is. This entire industry is classified as high risk by financial institutions globally. That means standard payment processors, the ones most online businesses use.
Like PayPal, Stripe.
Forget it! They won't touch adult content platforms. You have to use specialized high-risk payment processors and gateways.
And high risk means more expensive.
Yes, definitely higher transaction fees, often setup fees too. But the really big factor you need to budget for is something called a rolling reserve.
Okay, explain that. What's a rolling reserve?
So, because the risk of chargebacks customers disputing charges is much higher in this industry, the processor protects itself. They'll hold back a percentage of your daily revenue, say 10% or even 15%, and they'll keep it for an extended period, often 6 months.
6 months. So you're earning the money, but you can't actually access a chunk of it for half a year.
Exactly. It's meant to cover potential future chargebacks from those transactions. For a new business trying to manage cash flow, having potentially 10-15% of your revenue locked up is a massive operational challenge. It severely impacts liquidity.
That sounds incredibly tough to manage. And speaking of chargebacks, there's a specific threshold we need to talk about, isn't there? The 3% limit.
Yes, and this number is absolutely critical, 3%. If your chargeback rate, the ratio of disputed transactions to total transactions, goes above 3%, your high-risk processor will likely drop you instantly.
Getting dropped means?
It means your ability to accept payments disappears overnight. And once you've been blacklisted by one high-risk processor for excessive chargebacks, finding another one willing to take you on is extremely difficult. It can literally kill the business.
So managing fraud isn't just good practice, it's existential.
Absolutely mandatory. You need robust, proactive fraud detection systems. You need sophisticated chargeback management tools, sometimes from third-party specialists. You need to vet customers, identify risky patterns before they lead to a chargeback. You also need clear site policies, a system for users to flag problematic content, and you have to do spot checks yourself to make sure performers aren't breaking rules that could jeopardize your processor agreement.
Okay, assuming you navigate that legal and financial maze, you've got your tech platform, you've got your payment processing. Now you actually need performers and customers. Let's talk branding and recruitment.
Right, because you're not just launching into a vacuum, you're competing against established giants like Chatterbait, plus a sea of those white labels we talked about, so your brand has to stand out.
How do you do that?
Consistency is key. Your site name, the story or niche you're carving out, your colors, your fonts, it all needs to be memorable and applied everywhere. Watermark every promotional clip or image. Make your brand instantly recognizable.
And the performers. The supply side is crucial for a live cam site, right?
Absolutely king. You need a constant stream of engaging performers to keep members coming back. And the sources suggest moving beyond just hoping models find you through hashtags. It needs to be active corporate headhunting. Meaning you actively identify performers on other platforms whose style fits your site's niche or brand. You reach out to them directly, you're transparent about your payout rates and terms, you personalize your pitch. You're essentially trying to recruit talent away from your competitors.
Sounds like real recruitment. What kind of incentives work?
Several things. Referral programs are common, giving existing models or even webmasters a bonus, either one-time or a small ongoing rev share, for bringing in new, good performers. Introductory bonuses for the models themselves, like a higher payout percentage for their first month or two. Maybe cash bonuses for hitting certain earning milestones.
And what about getting big names?
That's a major traffic driver. Securing established cam stars or even traditional porn stars with exclusive contracts can be huge. You might offer them a guaranteed minimum income or a significantly higher rev share percentage in return for committing to stream a certain number of hours exclusively on your platform.
Why is that so effective?
Because that star power immediately draws their existing fan base to your site. And it also acts as a magnet for other newer performers who want to be on a platform that features successful, well-known talent. It builds credibility.
Okay, so you got the brand, you're recruiting models.
Yeah.
Now traffic, getting paying customers. The sources mentioned a specific budget split.
Yeah, the recommendation is often a 60-40 split initially until you reach profitability. 60% of your traffic budget focused on organic methods, 40% on paid advertising.
Why is that weighting towards organic?
For long-term stability. Organic traffic, once established, is more consistent and cheaper than constantly paying for ads.
So what does organic look like in this space?
A lot of it is niche SEO and content marketing. Blogging about relevant topics, getting models to maybe write guest posts, doing detailed reviews of shows or performers on your site, anything to rank for specific keywords that potential customers might search for. Social media plays a role too, platforms like Twitter or Reddit where adult content is more permissible, and leveraging tube sites.
Tube sites?
Like
Pornhub?
Exactly. If your model contracts give you the rights, using short, heavily watermarked promotional clips from their shows on popular tube sites can be a very effective way to drive traffic back to your live platform.
Got it. And the 40% paid traffic, where does that go given the restrictions?
Well, you can't use Google ads or Facebook ads, obviously. They heavily restrict or outright ban adult advertising, so you have to use specialized adult-friendly ad networks. Traffic Junkie is a big one, but there are others. And affiliate programs are still a cornerstone. Paying other website owners, or even models themselves, a commission for sending paying members your way is a tried and true method in this industry.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the core tension is really clear. The absolute fastest way to get something online, the white label, comes with these crippling long-term limitations, especially that SEO problem and the total lack of control.
Which means the smarter, more strategic play, even though it's more work and costs more upfront, is usually going down the path of a turnkey script, or if you have the resources, a full custom build.
Exactly. It highlights that launching successfully in this space isn't really about the content itself, not primarily anyway. It's about mastering these complex operational layers, the high-stakes risk management, the tricky payment processing, the intense recruitment and branding efforts.
And the sources really hammer home the need for systems before you even think about marketing, don't they?
They really do. Legal structures, solid model contracts, age verification procedures that meet legal standards like 2257, robust fraud detection. Getting all of that right seems to be the foundation.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener. If sorting out content rights management, international age verification compliance, and setting up high-risk payment reserves takes up significantly more time, effort, and focus than actually planning how you'll attract customers, what does that tell you about the real nature of this business? Is the platform just a wrapper for a highly complex compliance and financial operation?
It really makes you think about where the core challenges lie. The tech is solvable, the marketing is doable, but the underlying structure, that's the real barrier to entry, perhaps.
A lot to chew on there, especially that 3% chargeback cliff. Okay, that wraps up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.